The rumors are swirling around Bryce Huff and his future with the Philadelphia Eagles, a trade that would bring him to a team that makes a lot of sense, and the Eagles getting not only a player, but potentially getting a pick for the 26th draft. And if Bryce Huff is gone, a specific free agent coming to Philadelphia, would Howie Roseman kind of hit up on this? We're going to talk about it right now, so let's get straight into it.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So, the main date we're kind of looking for right now is June 1st, okay, with specific contracts, and we're talking about Bryce Huff, okay? Take everything with a grain of salt what I'm about to say here, but I like to speculate on things, and I've seen some rumors flying around on other potential franchises that might take Bryce Huff under their wing for this 2025 season. Okay, we know Bryce Huff has been a very expensive part of this defensive line that hasn't really panned out to be much of anything after having one 10-sack season as a third down edge rusher, and really hasn't impressed the coaching staff and quite frankly hasn't impressed the fans of Philadelphia, and became a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl with a 37-year-old Brandon Graham taking his spot, which kind of which really spoke volumes to me of where he was at and how the Eagles really think of him. Okay, now there's been news kind of swirling around, okay, on a potential team making a trade here. Now, regardless of if it's a post-June cut, post-June trade, pre-June trade, whatever the case may be with Bryce Huff and his contract, the Eagles are going to be hurting from this a little bit, okay? They have no choice. The Eagles want to rip the Band-Aid off after trading Hassan Reddick, and a panic signing in Bryce Huff happened, and we didn't know what was coming. Obviously, I was excited about this player, and then he had a big opportunity in front of him. And then we found out some of the news behind the scenes by the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. Bryce Huff kind of came out and said, I was angry walking around the building and the fans were getting to him. And, as soon as I hear things like that from a player with, especially getting paid a lot of money at $17 million a year, it's a red flag to me that they probably should not play in Philadelphia. Now, the first bit of new rumors that we had as soon as the Eagles won the Super Bowl were the Atlanta Falcons, because the defensive coordinator over there with the Atlanta Falcons did work with Bryce Huff when they were in New York, okay, in 2024. The trade obviously didn't happen. The Falcons went a different direction and got Jalen Walker, and then they traded up, gave away a whole farm for James Pierce Jr. So the Falcons were pretty much off the table at that point when we knew that they needed an edge rusher badly, and they got a couple of them in the draft. Now, the article that I've seen here, okay, from CBS and obviously one of the regular news sites that just have their own opinions about where players could end up, okay, San Francisco would be probably a really good spot for Bryce Huff to have a new change of scenery. Obviously, when you have a guy that's battered down by the fans and is hearing the noise and not taking that as motivation to play better, I feel like you have to move a guy like this somewhere else. Okay. Now, Robert Saleh is the new defensive coordinator for San Francisco, where he wasn't really a great head coach, but at the same time, the Jets are cursed, and the Jets have one of the worst ownerships, worst front offices, make the worst decisions. They don't know what they're doing. I live in New York. I have friends that are Jet fans, and trust me, nothing is ever exciting to them about the New York Jets, okay? But Robert Saleh was in the building when, Bryce Huff had his 1 year, 10-sack season on a heavy rotation, okay? Now, from what I'm hearing is that, this is a fresh start for Bryce Huff, would be a good trade, and, potentially the Eagles could be picking off a player from the Jets considerably if this trade can actually go down, okay, where Bryce Huff would be traded to the San Francisco 49ers, okay, for, okay, a 26th fifth-round pick and Georgia defender, linebacker Robert Beal Jr. Bring another Bulldog to the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, another linebacker depth. Great. That's awesome. Wouldn't mind that. But just take away the player that the Eagles might want from San Francisco. Okay, if the Eagles get a 6th-round pick for Bryce Huff, I can't really complain about it. Next year's draft in 2026 is very important. The Eagles would have literally 13 picks if they made this trade, which is awesome. The only other team that has, I think, the same amount of picks as we do next year is the Pittsburgh Steelers with 12. So a lot of picks, a lot of ammunition for Howie Roseman, and the good drafting is still going to continue. So look, I would definitely want more, but he's got no value. Bryce Huff he's got value as into, he has some flashes here and there, but, the Eagles have no room for Bryce Huff to show up to training camp. I'm sorry. He's backed into a corner. He's got nowhere to go. I mean, Jalix Hunt and Nolan Smith are going to be superstars at this point, okay? I mean, Joshua Uche, Azeez Ojulari, Antoine Powell, Ryland Jr. I mean, I don't even know if he could beat any of these guys out behind Nolan Smith or Jalix Hunt. I don't even know if he could do it. Just the weakness that he showed behind the scenes on an interview and how he was affected mentally. Come on now, man. You can't have a player like that that's going to be easily affected by what's being said on the outside world. It's going to affect your play every single week. It was so bad to the point where Bryce Huff is chasing after a player going by him and he stops to fix his helmet. Come on now. I've seen a lot of laziness, him falling on his ass all the time, like barely a motor, gets blocked easily. His technique is horrible. I've seen a lot of things from his tape last year I really didn't like. Post-bye, did he play better? Sure, but we were throwing compliments at him for just almost getting to the quarterback or making half of a tackle with somebody else. It was embarrassing, so if they can land a pick from him, great. But I see him getting traded and the Eagles just taking a hit. They're going to have to take the hit. Whatever the dead money is, it's got to happen. They have no choice. So sorry I'm reminiscing on this whole thing, but I can't see. If I see Bryce Huff walk into Eagles training camp, I'll be shocked. I'll be literally shocked over it. So the San Francisco 49ers would be a good team for them. It adds depth to their edge group. And Robert Saleh is there when he was successful, and that's really the only connections you can make out of this. Take this with a grain of salt, but that's kind of where we're at right now. Now, other news is if the Eagles actually get rid of Bryce Huff, could the Eagles, and I know Eagle fans are going to be mad at this, could the Eagles take a shot at Jadeveon Clowney? Okay. I'm just stating what's been kind of flying around, okay, where rumors are happening where Jadeveon Clowney could join a multitude of teams. But what if they feel like, Jadeveon Clowney's 32 years old. I know Eagle fans don't like him. I'm not really a big fan of him. He's done some things to specific players that we've had over the last few years, and I haven't liked it. To Nick Foles, to Carson Wentz in the 2019 wild card round against Seattle. I don't like how he sometimes wants to forcefully hurt somebody. Sometimes I don't like players that do that, but that's how it is. 32 years old, and if the Eagles signed him, just say they did, it would be a cheap deal. It wouldn't be expensive, obviously. So they bring him in and say, you either going to show out at training camp or you're not going to in the competition. So sure, you could get it done. Am I a big fan of it? Probably not. I'm kind of all right with the room we have right now, but to add him a veteran presence and to see if he actually makes if he actually makes some noise in training camp, it's not a bad thing. It's obviously going to be a 1-year deal. It's not going to be anything that's crazy. But I'm not really the biggest fan of it, but everyone has kind of been talking about Jadeveon Clowney to Philadelphia only if Bryce Huff is off this team. Okay, so that's where we're kind of at with the Jadeveon Clowney situation. with the Bryce Huff departure. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. So realistically for Bryce Huff, I think he needs a fresh start. I think he needs to get off this team. And I don't want them keeping Bryce Huff on this squad and cutting somebody else only because, well, we're paying him all this money. We got to give him another shot. Okay. I don't want them to keep him if a good player that, the Eagles make some tough cuts by the end of training camp, and say a good player that leaves goes to another team and plays well because we have to keep Bryce Huff. Well, if the Eagles are going to keep Bryce Huff, he's going to be on the practice squad. He won't even make it as a depth piece. As long as guys stay healthy, he's not going to be on the active roster. He'll be on the practice squad, and he'll be an expensive player on the practice squad, making a lot of money. So that's where I'm kind of going into all of this. Take it with a grain of salt. I haven't heard any other rumors besides the one I just heard yesterday on Bryce Huff to San Francisco, for obviously a lot of ties and connections there with the defensive coordinator and how to utilize him. So there could be success there. But I don't want to see Bryce Huff in an Eagles uniform by training camp. I really don't. That's just me. And if he's there, then okay, it is what it is, and we'll see what he's got. If he's pushed, and I wonder how the Eagles feel about this. I don't know, but it's going to be an interesting one going forward. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. Make sure you like the video because it helps out tremendously. And let me know what your thoughts on Bryce Huff and going to San Francisco, or just in general. Are you getting rid of Bryce Huff before training camp post-June? You let me know. And would you sign Jadeveon Clowney, or would you leave it alone? Let me know in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes, what up, follows, peace out, guys. Peace.